hell. I rock the show all by myself. You saw the freestyle dopeness. Without me the scene's lost like the Catholic Church when it's hopeless. Yeah, it's hopeless. So DJ 뭐가 고민돼. I'm the only way. 선택은 tableau. 내 CD 돌릴 때 내 입은 왕귀는 A4 내 총이 돼.
Gazed into the realm of death. What did you see?
I had a dream. It was the first time, that I was really scared, shook with fear. If one thing, one atom had given way, then I would be gone.
You can stay here alone and watch what happens to this purgatory.
sing to song of the children be.
Oh my Lord, what have I gotten myself into? Seems like I woke up in yesterday again. Another day, another dream.
The United Nations Agenda 21, Sustainable Development. It is the inventory and control plan. Inventory and control of all land, all water, all minerals, all plants, all animals, all construction, all means of production, all food, all energy, all information, and all human beings in the world. And this is a plan that was agreed to by 179 nations back in 1992. It's a United Nations plan. It's called the Agenda for the 21st Century. And so many of us around the world think that sustainable development, it just sounds so great. Isn't it about recycling and creative reuse and creating energy and food resources for everyone? And the answer is no, it really is not. It's about moving populations into city centers, concentrated city centers, and clearing them out of the rural areas. It's constructed of non-governmental organizations, corporations, and government in order to dictate and regulate what it is that happens around the world. Regionalization is the stepping stone to globalization, and globalization is the standardization of all systems. All systems have to be brought into harmony in order to control them all. And the goal of Agenda 21 is one world government and total control from a central unit. The principles are public-private partnerships, which is fascism. And this is how it's implemented on the ground, is through this joining together between corporations, non-governmental organizations, and governments in order to cut out the actual individual, your voter, and instead to take that to a level where we literally cannot penetrate. This is a corporatocracy. It's a totalitarian state being developed right now all over the world while we are moving towards the end game. We are not there. And this is the opportunity that all of us have now to stand up, to speak out. We are free, and we need to continue to be free. And I do believe that we will win, but we have to become aware that there is a fight.
So, that explains a lot, doesn't it? That explains a lot of what's going on in the world, doesn't it? You ever stop and think, a lot of what I see in the news, a lot of what I hear from politicians, from the media, a lot of it doesn't make sense. It seems like these people are lying. And it seems like that perhaps they don't have any form of allegiance to their own country. I wonder why that is. Could it be because there is literally an open conspiracy, not a secret one, an open, admitted, 100%, you can look it up yourself, conspiracy called Agenda 21, or the Agenda for the 21st Century. And it is a global plan to eventually merge all the countries in the world and all the cultures into one, and to track and trace every single aspect of that civilization. Everything, as the author of that video was saying, everything from the food to the technology to the human body. So once you understand that that is going on in the background, that a lot of these politicians that claim to have your best interest at heart are bought off, it starts to make a lot of sense. So let's talk about that. Now, before I get into any of this, just want to say hello to everybody there in the chat. I see Soren X in there. I see all y'all. And I just want to say, please share the video, share the stream. Also, if you want to leave a comment, you want to highlight your comment or question, I have super chats that I'll be getting to. On top of that, you can become like Patreon or PayPal. You can contribute that way. And you can follow me on the alt platforms, BitChute, Odyssey, and Rumble. That helps a lot too, in case, good old YouTube over here takes me off the internet. You never know. Anyways, let's get into it. So let me pull up my screen here because this is giving me a little bit of trouble today. Let me see. Here we go. I think we got it right. So we're first going to talk about Elon. He strolled into Twitter headquarters today carrying a sink. Literally. That's pretty funny. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about the new Prime Minister in the UK, Rishi Sunak, and his connections to the World Economic Forum. Yeah, one of those globalist groups. Yeah, we all know who they are. Yeah. And we're going to also talk about Yuval Harari, another World Economic Forum shill, advisor to Klaus Schwab, and some of his comments and how it all relates. And also we're going to talk about World War III because that's a major agenda too. It's really easy to reset things and change the world when you have a major catastrophe on your hands, isn't it? Yeah. So is it starting to make sense now? Is it starting to make sense? So let's talk about the Elon Musk thing, right? Friday, that's 2 days from this stream, Elon is reportedly going to officially own Twitter. Everybody's talking about it. Everyone's saying that Elon is going to save free speech on Twitter. First of all, I want to know what everybody thinks about that. I've done a few head counts on this before. I don't know, in regards to free speech, what will happen to Twitter. But I do know that long term, the situation probably doesn't look good based on what Elon already said he wants to do with Twitter. He wants to turn it into the new Chinese-style WeChat in America, where it's an all-encompassing app. Yeah, really, really convenient for that digital control grid that the Agenda 21 crowd wants to roll out, isn't it? In it. But let's check this out. So he shows up to Twitter headquarters today carrying a sink. You ever see that meme? Let that sink in. Let that sink in. Yeah. Yeah, they're saying he's going to fire about 75% of the staff at Twitter. So I'm going to give you my comments on this. There's good and bad that will come out of this. Both. I do think free speech will be a little more present on Twitter now that Elon will own it officially. And he'll be controlling it. But I also think long-term there could be some dark, aspects of this whole agenda creeping in. But let's check it out. So he's letting that sink in. Let that sink in. Get it? It's like what do you call it? It's a pun. You guys get it? You don't get it, do you? No one gets it. I thought it was funny. Let that sink in. No, like when you kind of, it's like a figure of speech. Nobody gets it. Oh, okay. Or it's just not funny, right? Elon posted a video Wednesday showing him strolling into Twitter headquarters ahead of the Friday deadline to close the $44 billion deal to buy the company. Musk also changed his Twitter profile to refer to himself as the Chief Twid. Let's check it out here. What do we got? He's now the chief twit. Look at that. Chief twit. Elon Musk on Twitter. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Just imagine, you're scrolling Twitter and what do you see? What do you see? Oh, you see Alex Jones posting. You see Donald Trump posting. You see Milo Yiannopoulos posting. You see Nick Fuentes posting. You see all of these people that were banned, Laura Loomer and all these types. Do you think that'll happen? Do you think those people will be let back on Twitter now that Elon has control of it? Let me know what you think. I honestly think they probably will be let back on Twitter, for the record. So, according to Twitter's chief marketing officer, Leslie Berlin, Elon is in the San Francisco office this week meeting with folks, walking the halls, and continuing to dive in on the important work you all do. For everyone else, this is just the beginning of many meetings and conversations with Elon, and you'll hear directly from him on Friday. So he's already meeting with them. He's officially taking over. This is not a theory anymore. This is not speculation. It's literally happening. Equity investors in Elon Musk's take private of Twitter have received paperwork from his lawyers at Skadden Arps in order to prepare closing the deal. It's another sign. Deal is on track for Friday close. Twitter employees have penned an open letter to the soon-to-be Elon Musk, their soon-to-be boss Elon Musk, and the board of directors, begging to keep their jobs after the Washington Post reported that Elon Musk is planning to get rid of nearly 75% of the company's 7,500 workers, whittling Twitter down to a skeleton staff of just over 2,000. Well, that wouldn't surprise me because I bet about 5,000 of the Twitter employees are there just to monitor content and shadow ban people and throttle people's posts. Because I don't know about you, but I've had Twitter since I think it's been since 2014 or 15. And ever since 2017, my posts have been throttled quite a bit. It was around the end of 2017, beginning of 2018. I've talked about this before. It wasn't just Twitter. It was also Facebook and YouTube. The posts and the content started getting throttled and shadow banned. The inability for things to go viral. It stops happening, right? And that isn't just me. That's just about everybody who's anti-establishment in any capacity, unless they're like a paid shill, pretty much. But you'd be surprised, how many people it happened to all at once at the very same time. It was very noticeable. So, will this bring Twitter back? Will the boys be back in town? Will the boys be back in town? I don't know. But all I know is on Twitter, for the record, there are so many people that have blocked me on Twitter that, part of I almost feel like my account is half useless because I can't follow a whole bunch of people because they all blocked me. I can't even count all the people that blocked me, to be honest. Even some right-wing people like Cernovich blocked me. Anomaly blocked me. Pfft. Idiots. So, an unknown number of Twitter employees are circulating an open letter to Elon Musk demanding that they be allowed to keep their jobs, pick journalistic and geopolitical winners and losers, and retain all their employment benefits. The participation trophy generation. So they're literally asking Elon Musk to keep their jobs, but also, and this is the most notable part of this whole situation. You see article after article of all of these Twitterati types, pundits, media people, politicians, and just Twitter reply guys complaining, saying that Elon taking over Twitter and reestablishing accounts that were banned and allowing people to speak their minds freely and not banning people or shadow banning people is a threat to democracy. Just let that sink in, right? Pun intended. Let that sink in. Free speech is a threat to democracy. And this highlights the exact point I've been trying to make over and over again. Democracy does not equal freedom, does not equal quality of life. And I put out a video a few months back, and I got a lot of backlash for it, at least not a lot, but because you guys are awesome, you know, even if you disagree, most of the people, you know, that follow me, you know, been around for long enough to know that I mean well, we might disagree, whatever, but like, put out a video about how democracy is evil and sucks, basically. And a lot of people were like, how could you say that? What would you replace democracy with then? Well, I'm not going to get into the weeds of democracy too much, but I will say this. You can certainly have a democracy and have it be the most authoritarian, unfree, crappy place to live on the whole planet. Democracy means nothing. It's a means by which you choose leaders. It's majority rule. It's two wolves and a sheep voting on what's for dinner. So you can, they might even be right when they say that free speech on Twitter is a threat to their democracy, because their democracy, the left, has nothing to do with raising your quality of life. It has to do with their democracy and their agenda. And free speech, people talking about what they believe is true and having a rational discussion, and the marketplace of ideas is literally a threat to, yes, leftism, because leftism is satanic. And that eventually is shown with enough discussion. So the staff of Twitter are complaining. Yeah, they're complaining. And then, again, all of these, look at this. Opinion, Elon Musk's Twitter takeover, a real threat to free speech. Big tech monopolies. Yeah, they're worried about big tech monopolies now? Now? After all this time? We didn't hear about big tech monopoly talk the past 5 years, when everybody was getting banned when the president himself got banned from social media, the literal president. I mean, it's shocking even now, 2 years later, whatever it is, a year later. It's shocking even now to think about how much these people have control. And now that a billionaire that, from their perspective at least, doesn't share their views on free speech, he might share their views on a lot of other things, like, I don't know, merging with machines and letting go of humanity forever, and basically merging, with Lucifer. Yeah. That part is pretty bad. But, when it does come to free speech, I gotta say, I don't know, Elon's kind of proven himself in some ways. Maybe he just disagrees about that part when it comes to, the globalist agenda. It's like, yeah, let's merge with machines. Let's, put a chip in everybody's brain and erase the biological humanity and free will. But I believe in free speech. I don't know. But let's see here. We got a lot going on with this. So yeah, they just go on and on, article after article. Elon Musk take over Twitter threatens our democracy. A real threat to democracy. It's just... But, of course, if it was Mark Zuckerberg buying Twitter, if it was Michael Bloomberg buying Twitter, if it was Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, do you think they'd be complaining about this? Complaining about billionaires controlling the marketplace of ideas? Because, yeah, I don't think so. But what does Elon want to do ultimately with Twitter? And this is my problem with it. Like, if he does reinstate a lot of the people banned and allows free speech to reign and stop shadow banning people, or at least open sources the code and shows what is being shadow banned so you can avoid that, at the very least. I mean, like, even that I disagree with. I don't think anything should be shadow banned, but at least tell us what's going on, if you're going to do that. If he does that, that'd be great. But, like, what are the long-term plans? He wants to turn Twitter into a super app modeled after China's WeChat? China. Elon Musk wants to expand Twitter into an everything app that consolidates many internet functions into one app. Elon Musk has finally made up his mind to buy Twitter, yada, yada, yada. Buying Twitter is an accelerant to creating X, the everything app. Musk tweeted on October 4th after striking an agreement with Twitter's board to go through the deal. In another tweet that same day, he suggested building off Twitter would be faster than creating the so-called everything app from scratch. What is the everything app? An everything app, or better known as a super app, is a mobile application that provides a wide variety of services such as chat, social networking, payment, shopping, and gaming that effectively functions as an all-encompassing platform where users can fulfill most of their day-to-day needs. Oh, interesting. So a centralization mechanism. That's what that sounds like. And the more centralized something is, so if you're going to combine your credit card, your bank account, your social media, your DMs, your shopping, your gaming, maybe your digital ID, to get your license and stuff like that. That sounds a little bit dystopian. And that does sound a lot like China. Go figure. He even said, or at least everyone's saying, I don't know if he actually said directly this, but it would be comparable to WeChat in China. That doesn't sound like a very fun thing. More convenient, don't get me wrong. More convenient. The world's most well-known super app is perhaps WeChat, operated by the Chinese internet giant Tencent. The app has more than 1.2 billion monthly active users, predominantly in mainland China, as of September. Every day, hundreds of millions of WeChat users send messages, make video calls, share photos and documents, shop, and send payments to each other, and even pay utility bills on the app. These activities are performed either through WeChat's built-in features or mini apps that are embedded within the app. Other notable super apps include China's Alipay, Singapore-based Grab, and Indonesia-based Gojek. While WeChat and Alipay are most popular in Chinese-speaking countries, Grab and Gojek mainly serve Southeast Asian nations. Yeah, so it goes on that tech billionaires love the idea of a super app, of course. And, it just opens up the door for all of the things I've been talking about. All the things we talked about at the beginning of this video, that intro. World Economic Forum, digitization of everything and tracking of everything. Because if it's all centralized into one app, and a lot of people will say this. Let's say you do trust Elon fully. Fair enough. But what happens when he dies or something? And, or what happens when X, the future Twitter that controls everything in your life, gets hacked? And what happens when power is handed down to the next person? Maybe his descendants or something, his heirs. Hopefully not Grimes, guys. Hopefully not Grimes. But, what happens, right? And then somebody or a group of people who don't have the best intentions get a hold of that app and all of the data involving every little aspect of every single person's life in the whole entire Western world. That ain't good. That's pretty risky. No? Yeah, it seems to be playing out exactly how the globalists want. And maybe it's inevitable. I don't know. Maybe it's inevitable. That is a reasonable argument to have. What if this is inevitable, right? And the question is, and it is a good question, the digitization of everything and all of that perhaps is going to happen either way. The question is, will it be done in a healthy way, or will it be hijacked by evil forces, by satanic forces? I think it's fair to say that the satanic groups are the ones, for the most part, who are in charge of rolling this out. I mean, just look at Bohemian Grove and sort of their allegiances to the occult and occult beliefs. They're not Christians. Many of them aren't even atheists. So a lot of the people in these globalist groups, like the World Economic Forum, like Forum for the Future, the UN, Bilderberg Group, these aren't Christians. So keep that in mind. I'll say hello to the chat. Chat, what's good? All right. So let's move on here. So this is rolling out in the UK. Rishi Sunak has been selected, not elected, by the way, not elected, selected. That's the new thing now, as Prime Minister, and his connections to the World Economic Forum are so out there in the open. It's wild. A lot more so than even Biden and many of these other Western leaders. So let's check this out. So they have these puff piece articles about it, first of all. He went to a private school. I saw this one article about like his favorite food, all these stupid things to give the masses the perception of, their elitist leaders being just like them, when in reality they're not just like them, right? So he has connections to the World Economic Forum and China. And one of the main companies rolling out the digital ID and social credit scores. This is out of TNT Radio. Former British Finance Minister Rishi Sunak, a frontrunner to become Britain's next Prime Minister, has family ties to a technology partner of the World Economic Forum that has advocated for a Chinese Communist Party-style economy complete with trackable digital identities and currency. Sunak, who topped the second round of voting by Conservative members of the Parliament in the Tory leadership race on July 15th, following Boris Johnson's resignation, is widely considered the neoliberal or globalist candidate. The father of Sunak's wife, Akshata Murthy, is the founder of Infosys. I've heard of them before. Have you? I've read about them many times, actually. Infosys, an Indian information technology company that provides services to a host of Fortune 500 companies and banks. One of the company's leading services is Finacle, a digital banking platform. Murthy remains a foreign citizen with NAMDAM, i.e. non-UK tax-paying status, despite her husband's work as Britain's most senior finance chief and expectation of becoming prime minister. Infosys is listed as an official partner of the World Economic Forum, which has been accused of seeking to develop the technological infrastructure to implement a global social credit score system. Yeah, I wonder where Twitter's headed. So you got Sunak in the UK, and you got Elon in the US rolling this out. Wolves in sheep's clothing, maybe? Social credit scores have been used by authoritarian regimes to deny rights and restrict the movements of individuals who fail to comply with diktats. For the World Economic Forum, social credit priorities would likely focus on left-wing social issues like climate change, diversity, and equity. Yeah, well, those aren't left-wing social issues. Those are religious beliefs. Left-wing social issues, in my opinion, are like cleaning up pollution. That's actually more right-wing. That can be argued that it's actually right-wing to do that. Conservation, conservative. Like, you're conserving, like, you know, the land as it originally was. It's conservative. But anyway. But no, left-wing issues are like, you know, taking care of the poor, helping the homeless out. In my opinion, right? And really, you could say individual liberty is actually a left-wing concept, but not anymore. Now, everything's just jumbled up into like a big cluster F of just, you know, now it's right-wing to, you know, believe that, you know, citizens should be armed. Like, it's actually used to be a left-wing belief, but okay. Klaus Schwab's candidate. Yes, he's one of the buddies of the Schwabs. Good old Sunak. UK, man, you're in a lot of trouble, boys. I feel you, mate. Wait, no, that's Australia. I always confuse the accents. I'm so bad at accents, guys. Don't even ask. I feel you, mate. Is that it? Is that better? No, I think that's still Australia. Whatever. UK buddies, tell me what's good, because I have no clue. Soren, you're from Australia. How am I doing? Oh, man. Far from being a silent partner, Infosys has earned praise from the WEF, being dubbed a digital leader in next-generation digital services and consulting. With 3 decades of experience in managing the systems and workings of global enterprises, it steers clients through their digital journey by enabling them with artificial intelligence-powered core that helps prioritize the execution of change. Oh, and that's the World Economic Forum talking about Infosys. Several Infosys executives have also contributed articles to the WEF website, including the company's global head, president, and chief compliance officer. Sounds like everybody's really cozy, you know? Infosys president Mohit Joshi has penned articles for the site in favor of digital banking, which provides the technological framework for the social credit score system the WEF has come under scrutiny for attempting to effectuate across the world. I talk about CBDCs all the time. China is the model, guys. This all interconnects. Everything I'm talking about today. Do you understand? Why do you think I decided to talk about Elon carrying in a sink to the Twitter headquarters and then talk about how he wants to merge Twitter into one giant super app, just like China's WeChat, where your social media, digital ID, payment systems, gaming, photos, communication, direct messages are all interlinked into one system. That's exactly what this is. But nobody wants to talk about it. So, people want to have a savior. They want to have a savior. There's even conservatives in the UK, and I mean, you got to be really dumb to believe this. Like, I get it if you trust Elon. Well, not really, but I mean, it's at least more believable than trusting Rishi Sunak. To some people, he's literally a savior in the UK, and of course, he's 100% British too. Look, have you seen his beautiful face? He is definitely. I mean, he looks absolutely British, right? That's the new thing now, by the way. You don't have to actually be British to be British now. Oh man. But anyways, that's neither here nor there, right? So, where was I here? Yeah, so what is clear is that the crisis of COVID-19 presents many challenges, but also a unique opportunity to rethink how money is managed and used in our society. That wasn't Klaus Schwab, that was Joshi, the president of this Infosys. But yeah, they're all the same. They have the same agenda. There is also credible concerns that paper money can transmit the virus. Oh, we're still worried about the virus? Oh, are we? Oh, okay. I didn't realize. Wait, there was a pandemic? Guys, was there? Oh, yeah. Of course, Spanish flu. I remember that. That was a long time ago, though. H1N1, right? Yeah. SARS. Are we talking about SARS? Right? Is that what you're talking about? SARS? Or the flu of 2018? Because that was a bad flu season. Who then can blame the People's Bank of China when it announced in February that it would be destroying cash collected in high-risk environments such as public transport, markets, or hospitals? Oh, they're trying to get rid of cash in the UK. In China. Oh, and they're talking about, just like how the Treasury discussed how they're taking very seriously the prospect of CBDCs. Oh, President Biden, his administration just put out a whole entire write-up about CBDCs and the future of the digital dollar in the U.S. and how they're truly exploring it. Yellen's talking about it all the time now. Who was it from the Treasury Department or from the Fed that actually said that, oh, guess what? Yeah, we're coming out with a CBDC, a digital dollar, and by the way, it's not going to have any anonymity. Privacy isn't going to matter. It's going to be trackable. And what do they have in China? Oh, they have expiration dates on their currency. They have restrictions based on, just about anything you can think of, Yeah, I've talked about this a million times. Digital currencies could remove the cumbersome operational security apparatus which surround conventional forms of money transmission. Continues this article before claiming that there are political and social benefits as well. China's candidate, good old Sunak. I hope you're ready, UK. The potential for China here is immense. If the RMB is adopted broadly as a system to streamline trade and reduce risk, China could become the world's trade banker as well as its factory. Yet the bigger goal for China is actually more local and relates to financial inclusion. Oh, that sounds just beautiful. Digitizing the RMB will grant access to financial services to hundreds of millions of citizens, including some of those disadvantaged. Oh, I'm sure that's what it's there for. This benefit is something that can be applied to any country across the world, continues the article, which also revealed that Infosys is contributing to digitization efforts. Sounds like the merger of corporation and state. All across the world, like a one world government slowly being formed, with this company, Infosys, at the center. Another op-ed by Joshi. Digital identity can help advance inclusive financial services. They always use these buzzwords: inclusive, diversity, climate change. It's like, you know. Advocates for granting every person a unique digital identity to conduct financial transactions. He points to the Chinese Communist Party as a successful example of this policy. The Chinese government in Zhejiang province has developed an enterprise digital code for just this purpose, responding to small and medium banks with easy-to-access financial resources. My bank, a subsidiary of Ant Financial and the Chinese big tech firm, collaborates with the Chinese government through this scheme to provide cheap loans and other financial products to SMBs. Oh, yeah, China's doing a great job. Infosys is also a member of the WEF's Partnering Against Corruption initiative, which includes cross-industry representatives from the world's largest corporations. Interesting. The National Pulse recently exposed how the initiative, which purports to fight for transparency in business practices, is the former CEO of Reuters, who now serves as a board member at COVID-19 vaccine maker Pfizer. Must be just a giant coincidence how all these people connect. Remember when I talked about that? The CEO of Reuters going over to Pfizer. Yeah, and he's connected with Infosys too. Yeah, through that WEF. Yeah, they're also calling for the creation of a digital stability board to regulate all payments. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes, of course. Infosys' leaders are also involved with different WEF subgroups, such as the global head of sustainability and design consulting services, Corey Glickman, who is a member of the WEF Pioneer Cities Working Group. Sunak himself has a history of being soft on China, telling the Telegraph that he wanted a complete sea change in relations with the Chinese Communist Party in favor of increased trade ties and economic collaboration. China, in turn, has endorsed Sunak's candidacy. Yeah, that's right. China literally has endorsed this guy, and he's the new British Prime Minister, connected to Infosys in this World Economic Forum cesspool of bedfellows. So get ready, UK. And this is rolling out everywhere, by the way. Everywhere. Check this out. So we got a video showing this rolling out everywhere. I mean, India is a huge part of it too. So the digital ID.
According to a report from Reuters last week, tens of millions of children in India are at risk of being excluded from school this year because they're not linked up to India's biometric digital ID system. ARRR, India's federally operated biometric digital ID system, collected the names, fingerprint scans, and eye scans of 1.2 billion Indians. According to the report, India's 2009 Right to Education Act provides the legal right to free education for all children from 6 to 14 years old. But apparently, only children willing to submit to invasive biometric recording and tracking are able to enjoy their own rights. Dipa Sinha, a professor at India's Ambedkar University, told Reuters that requiring the biometric digital ID for public school puts the onus on the citizen and makes it much harder for them to access their own rights. The report referenced an 11-year-old named Shifa, who has been barred from going into the 6th grade because she does not have the ARRR biometric digital ID. Her parents made several attempts to get her one, but between the hoops and the behemoth bureaucracy, she fell through the cracks. Now Shifa is simply learning to read and write at home, using the newspaper. Without ARRR, we have no other option, her mom said. But ARRR is more than just a system that coerces people to submit their personal biometrics to receive their own rights. It's actually a giant social credit system, lauded by political heavyweights and global thought leaders. Not much Western attention has been put on the ARRR system, because it's been overshadowed by their geopolitical foe, China, and its social credit system. According to the Huffington Post, which received documents under India's RTI Act, or Right to Information Act, the Indian government has integrated data collected by ARRR to establish a 360-degree database that automatically tracks citizens when they move between cities, change jobs, or buy new property. Bill Gates, of all people, explained that the ARRR system is a huge asset for India and branded the creator of the system, Nandan Nikalani, a partner of the World Economic Forum, a hero.
My friend Nandan Nilekani is one of India's best-known entrepreneurs. He led the creation of the world's largest biometric ID system.
ARRR is the world's largest digital ID system and entirely based using biometrics to ensure uniqueness. Our enrollment was very simple: name, address, date of birth, sex, email ID and phone number if you wish, and the biometrics, the 10 fingerprints of both the hands, the iris of both the eyes, and a photograph.
Despite the dystopian possibilities, elected officials in the US are trying their best to force a giant biometric digital ID system on the entire population under the guise of inequity. Illinois Congressman Bill Foster recently introduced the Improving Digital Identity Act, which calls for the public sector, namely Homeland Security, to work with the private sector to develop a giant digital biometric ID infrastructure for the United States. Congressman Foster explained to a Gates-funded vaccine ID initiative, ID 2020, that collecting private biometric information on all citizens could be leveraged by the private sector to generate profits.
That once the government has taken that essential step of taking those biometrics, there would be huge opportunities for the commercial sector to leverage that. And so to try to get this all started, I recently introduced a bill with 4 bipartisan co-authors on the bill, H.R. 8215, the Improving Digital Identity Act. If enacted, this bill would take a number of steps to really prioritize the development of digital ID in this country.
Foster is trying to push this bill through under the guise of inequity by explaining that the system will make it easier for unbanked individuals, apparently a new marginalized group, to access financial services, cloaking the invasive ID system in woke language. In a U.S. House Committee on Financial Services hearing in July, Elizabeth Rainiers warned that biometric digital ID programs like ARRR are being used as giant surveillance tools, establishing social credit systems.
My name is Elizabeth Rainiers. I'm a professor of the practice and founding director of the Notre Dame IBM Technology Ethics Lab at the University of Notre Dame. We must avoid building digital ID systems and infrastructure in a way that would further expand and entrench the surveillance state, as do the national identity systems in India or China. For example, the ARRR number in India, and that single identifier is able to track your activity across all facets of your life, from employment to healthcare to school to pretty much everything you do. And so that's another area where you can't retain sort of autonomy over specific domains of your life. And for example, you can't be, you can't separate your personal and professional reputation, and you can't have this kind of contextualized personal identity. And so I think that's also really problematic.
But it's this all-encompassing aspect of the system that makes people like Bill Gates so adoring of it. Addressing India's policymakers on their achievements with ARRR, Gates explained the usefulness of social credit systems.
Over time, all of these transactions will create a footprint. And so when you go in for credit, the ability to access your history, that you've paid your utility bills on time, that you've saved up money for your children's education, all of those things in your digital trail, accessed in an appropriate way, will allow the credit market to properly score the risk.
Gates is trying to bring the ARRR social credit system he's so fond of to the rest of the world. Gates partnered with the World Bank and launched their ID4D project with the declared purpose of bringing the ARRR approach to other countries. To date, the World Bank has invested $1.5 billion into the ID4D initiative, with the official aim of creating identification systems using 21st century solutions.
According to their 2021 annual report, ID40 is currently helping 49 national governments establish digital ID systems, or 470 million people.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's coming everywhere, it sounds like. Doesn't it? Yeah, just one step closer. One step closer. And, yeah, like I said, like China really is the beta test for all this. It's the prototype, and I feel like they got a little bit of a head on their shoulders now. And they're trying to sort of co-opt the globalists above them in some ways, and they endorsed this guy. But you know, they're all on the same team in the end. They endorsed Rishi, and they're in bed with many of the U.S. politicians and Indian politicians doing all this too. They have some quarrels with India too, but you know, and the U.S. But it's a revolving door for these people at the very top. You know, they don't care. Yeah, so Rishi, he's a member of the World Economic Forum. You can go directly to their website and see that just another puppet controlling one of our nations. Another one of the puppets controlling our nations. For these globalist types. Very, very sad stuff. Yeah. It makes you wonder with the whole situation with Liz Truss and what happened with that whole economic debacle with the Bank of England. Was that all planned? You know, was that sabotage? I don't think it was actually her. It was like her finance minister or something made some crazy decisions that almost led to the entire collapse of the Bank of England and the economy in the UK. And that's why she was ousted. Could it have been sabotage? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe she was... I doubt she was not on board. But maybe she just wasn't fully on board or qualified. So they had to get her out of there. So I don't know. That's just a theory. I have no clue, really. I don't know that much about UK politics, to be honest. I'm just sort of talking here, guys. Just talking. So, yeah, and Rishi, by the way, you know, this isn't secret. He's announced the UK's new digital strategy. You know, all of this is confirmed. You know, this isn't conspiracy theory. It's just stuff that, you know, people kind of don't pay enough attention to. So Sunak is fully out in the open trying to digitize everything, just like his handlers want him to in the UK. So just checking out the chat. Looks like we got a super chat. Soren X, what's up, man? Great show. God bless y'all. The Aussie accent sounds about right. Yeah. 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 Well, I was going for UK, so not even close, right? I always confuse them. Pretty much every time I try to do a foreign accent in English, that isn't American. It just comes out like Australian. Like I'll try to do the UK, or I'll try to do Irish, or I'll try to do Scottish. I'll try to do I guess Canadian doesn't usually come out. Australian. But it always just comes out Australian. Because they always said, you know, people have told me that I know that have been to Australia and the UK. I haven't been outside the US besides Canada. But that you know, Aussies have the most in common with Americans when it comes to, I guess besides Canadians probably, when it comes to like English speaking countries not in North America, I suppose. So maybe that's why it's just like that, you know, that great wide open y'all have, that we have, all the nature. That has something to do with all that land. I don't know. All right, so moving on here. What do we got? Oh, yeah, let's talk about this. You might think, well, the World Economic Forum, these globalist types, they want the best for us. They want the best for humanity. They're good people. They're just like me and you. Well, let's hear what the second in charge, Yuval Noah Harari. He's one of the main advisors, the key advisor to Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum. Let's see and hear what he has to say about humans in general and about the future of technology and humanity. Yeah, let's see if these World Economic Forum types that are propping up Rishi and in all of them, let's see if they're the good guys. Maybe they're the good guys, right? Maybe they're the good guys.
COVID is critical because this is what convinces people to accept, to legitimize total biometric surveillance. If we want to stop this epidemic, we need not just to monitor people, we need to monitor what's happening under their skin. What we have seen so far, it's corporations and governments collecting data about where we go, who we meet, what movies we watch. The next phase is the surveillance going under our skin. We're now seeing mass surveillance systems established even in democratic countries, which previously rejected them. And we also see a change in the nature of surveillance. Previously, surveillance was mainly above the skin. Now it's going under the skin. Governments want to know not just where we go or who we meet. Above all, they want to know what is happening under our skin. What's our body temperature? What's our blood pressure? What is our medical condition? Now humans are developing even bigger powers than ever before. We are really acquiring divine powers of creation and destruction. We are really upgrading humans into gods. We are acquiring, for instance, the power to re-engineer life. I know that in recent years, we saw populist politicians undermining deliberately the trust that people have in important institutions like universities, like respectable media outlets. These populist politicians told people that, say, scientists are this small elite, disconnected from the real people. I mean, all this story about Jesus rising from the dead and being the Son of God, this is fake news. Humans are now hackable animals. You know, the whole idea that humans have, you know, this, they have this soul or spirit and they have free will and nobody knows what's happening inside me. So whatever I choose, whether in the election or whether in the supermarket, this is my free will, that's over.
Does that sound like a future you want? Does that sound like somebody you want in charge of your future? I mean, us human beings are spiritual creatures. This is a satanic agenda, and you know, these people's words speak for themselves. They do. I don't have to do anything. All I have to do is show you what they say. So Harari has gone on to say all of those things. All of those things. And that is the Great Reset. That is what they want. Openly. Just remember that. Again, and I think the biggest question is maybe in economics and politics of the coming decades is what are we going to do with all these people? All these useless people? My best guess at present is a combination of drugs and computer games as a solution for most. It's already happening. So this is what the elite think about you guys. It's just so crazy. Like, you can't make this stuff up. What these people want. They don't care about the earth. They're deluded on their own narcissism and power. They have a hatred for humanity. It's a disgust. Yuval Noah Harari, climate change may lead to technological Noah's Ark for elites. He's talking about. Look at this. We'll just have to play it. We'll just have to play it. The UK, I hope you're ready. I hope you're ready for Rishi Sunak. These are the guys he's connected to.
With regard to technology, technology is obviously the key. It created the problem in the first place. It's also a key to the solution. But by itself, technology is never a solution, because every technology can be used for good or for ill. It depends on how you do it, on which interests you take into account. So yes, we need people to work on the technological aspects, but we need the politicians to direct it in the right way for the benefit of the greatest number of people and of the entire ecosystem. And, one of the biggest dangers in the technological utopianism, that, the technology will solve it, is the kind of Noah Ark syndrome, like in the Bible with the flood, that yes, eventually they built an ark, but just for 5 people or something like that. Right. Almost everybody drowned. And there is a very big danger that with climate change, when people talk about what's our future going to be like, there is no us, there is no our future. Humanity might divide into a majority maybe of people who would suffer tremendously, and a minority that will have the resources, the wealth, the technology to protect themselves and even flourish in some kind of technological Noah's Ark.
So what he's saying here is that there are people in the elite that want to create a massive catastrophe on the planet, and they want to get together. This is why they have the seed vaults in Svalbard, underground bunkers and all this. They're building, all the elites. There's definitely some of them. I think they debate on these topics. They tell us the reason why Harari's up here telling you this is because he knows nobody's gonna give a shit anyway, right? Like does your average normie know who Yuval Harari is? Advisor for the World Economic Forum and Klaus Schwab, co-author of The Great Reset. Does your average normie know who this guy is? No. So he doesn't care. But yeah, I think they talk about this stuff behind closed doors, and I think they're strongly considering maybe they should do this. And this is why he's just talking out loud. He's thinking out loud here. This is a risk that we might just decide to do this. The group I'm involved with, we're thinking about doing this, right? We're thinking about just letting the catastrophe happen here, and creating it ourselves, perhaps. It doesn't say that outright, but you got to read between the lines. And yeah, we'll have our technological Noah's Ark, and we'll be able to survive all of it. We'll just be chilling in Svalbard. But a lot of people also talk about like a pole shift coming. This is actually real science backing that up. I think Suspicious Observers is one of the renegade researchers on planetary climate that talks about that a lot, how in 2046 I think there's going to be a pole shift or something. There's a lot of talk about that. I don't know if that's true. I'm not a scientist, but maybe these elites know what's coming, and that's what they're preparing for in some form or fashion. Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, he's a reptilian, right? Yeah, they're all reptilians, dude. Come on, man. Reptilian shapeshifters, dude. Don't you know? Will you eat the bugs? Bingo, it's Pickle says, no, they know God's reset button. Sun's binary dead star is approaching and they are timing it. They lose in the end. Was that like a Nibiru type thing? Nibiru? The mark of the beast. Yeah. Well, that's, yeah. The unbanked. Right. Scott, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, bro. You know, they talk about, they use these catchy terms that sound so loving and sound so altruistic. Like we have to bank the unbanked because they're underprivileged. It's such a cop-out and a fraud. There's actually an argument for it in Africa. There are a lot of unbanked people in Africa, but that's Africa, dude. Like in America, like you don't have, I mean, you can like walk into like a government institution and be like, just like, give me an ID. They'll give you like a government ID. Like you can figure it out. Most banks, guys, I used to work at a bank, okay? Most banks don't even require any form of ID. They'll bank illegals, illegal immigrants that have zero half these people don't even have social security numbers and stuff. Like this idea that there's the unbanked in America, it's very weak, very weak. Very weak argument. The unbanked. And maybe people who don't have money, you know, if you got no money, maybe you're unbanked because you have no money, right? Because of inflation. Thanks, Biden. Yeah. I'm the unbanked, okay? I'm unbanked. You want to talk about unbanked? Have you seen my heat and electric bills going up? Yeah. Talk about unbanked. Yeah, yeah, Scoville, 7. Yeah, he is. He's not no. Yeah, did I mention he's an Israeli? You mean he's Jewish? Yeah. No, he is. That's true. But, I mean, Schwab is not. Or maybe he is. I don't really know. Is Schwab? I thought he was Switzerland. So Klaus Schwab, he's Swiss. A lot of these people are you know. I feel like it's a combination of Israelis, you know, and like these like creepy, almost medieval sounding European villains. You know, like with like connections to the Habsburg dynasty and like you know, royal bloodlines and all this, like creepy, like castle dwelling, 1,000 points of light, sort of European, you know, white people, and then like Israelis, right? It's just like a combination of those types of people, right? All those people are just like meeting in these creepy dungeons, you know, figuring out what technology to roll out to centralize everything and build their Noah's Ark and break away from the planet and you know, leave us all to die. Creepy guys, reptiles.
And this is extremely dangerous. Again, I think one of the reasons that we don't see enough urgency from leaders, from business elites and so forth, is that in the back of their mind, they are counting on a technological Noah's Ark. And that's very, very dangerous.
Vanessa, I know that you focused a lot on loss and damage, trying to get countries that have...
Yeah, so... Yeah, and, you know, it's... it's no secret what's going on. It's no secret. And they're preparing for the winter blackouts. BBC prepares secret scripts for possible use in winter blackouts. The BBC has prepared secret scripts that could be read on air if energy shortages cause blackouts or the loss of gas supplies this winter. The scripts, seen by The Guardian, set out to the corporation would reassure the public in an event of major loss of power. It causes mobile networks, internet access, banking systems or traffic lights to fail across England, Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland, etc., whatever. So yeah, they're already prepping scripts for this. Blackouts, energy shortages, brownouts. Yeah, so this winter, get ready. And the other thing too, after the winter, because they're saying they might have just barely enough natural gas stored and other forms of energy to get through the winter in Europe, just barely enough. I think they were saying that like they have enough, but it will dwindle down to like less than 5% of their reserves in Europe. So it's like, yeah, we'll get through it barely. You know, it's like you got 10 days worth of food and 10 days to survive on it. Like, you'll make it. But if one thing goes wrong or something unforeseen happens, you know, it's like rent is due in 2 weeks. Your rent's $2,000. And what do you have in your account? $2,005. You'll make it, maybe. What are you going to eat, though? Yeah. So they're prepping for this, guys. And this is all very controlled. This is all part of the plan, too. This is insane. I just arrived in Italy and got this notice at the apartment. This is essentially a climate lockdown. New Italian laws for heating. This is what is being handed out in Italy. Dear guests, we are sorry to inform you that Italian Ministry for Ecological Transition has made a new law for the use of heating. Maximum temperature is 19-20 degrees Celsius in every room of the apartment. Heating off from 2300 to 5 a.m., so 11 to 5. We are very sorry, but there will be controls from the authority. So this is happening in Italy. Restrictions on heating. This is all beta tests. Very similar to what they rolled out in California in August with controlling, and Colorado too, controlling people's air conditioners, telling them what they can and can't do in terms of their climate in their homes. You know, this is going to be the new normal. And the other problem they're going to create is, I hope not, a false flag operation in Ukraine. Zelensky warns of Russia false flag operation to blow up Ukraine dam and cause large-scale disaster. You also have Biden saying Russia would make serious mistake with false flag nuke. And the Kremlin is now saying as well that Ukraine is planning to use a radioactive dirty bomb against Russia as well. So all of these things, very creepy stuff. Very creepy stuff. And normally we'd have the left here in the U.S. speaking out against war, but not anymore. The Progressive Caucus, all of these Elon Omar types, you know, AOCs, they actually came out and wrote a letter to the Biden administration urging the Biden administration and Congress and the government to make peace between Ukraine and Russia and to broker negotiations and peace deals to avoid nuclear war. Then the very next day, after backlash from the media and the Biden administration, these cowards retracted their letter. So these aren't freedom fighters, or they don't even claim to be freedom fighters. These aren't anti-establishment leftists. These so-called progressives in the House, these Democrats, they're just lackeys that do what they're told. As soon as they face any sort of opposition, they're cowards. They're cowards. Elon, Omar, all these types, they took it back the very next day. They put out a letter, and they took it back the very next day. These scum, these just total cowards. Total cowards. So, anyways, guys, thank you so much for showing up. Thank you so much. Like, share, and subscribe. If you want to become a Patreon member, links for that in the description box below, and PayPal you can contribute with as well. Drop a comment. Let me know what you think about all this. We're going to talk more about all this coming out because a lot more is happening. Oh, boy. I tell you. And if you want to join the Telegram group, a lot of good info in there. t.me/resisting the reset. Links for that in the description below as well. And you can follow me on Gab and Twitter too, @PressResetEarth. And also, if you could, please follow on Odyssey, BitChute, and Rumble. Links for all that in the description box below. I'm out, guys. Much love. Thank you, everyone, for showing up. I see you all in the chat. Thank you so much. It's been Press. Keep your head up. Stay real. And no fear.